mamas, welcome back to another episode. How are you ladies?
We're good. How are you guys?
I'm great. I'm Jess.
I'm Erica.
And I'm Melissa. And today we have Andor and Kevin joining us as our special guests.
How are you guys?
Good.
Yeah, I'm well, thank you. How are all of you?
Good.
Not
Great.
bad.
What you guys been up to?
Not much work.
bad.
Just work. Loads of work.
Work, like
Yeah,
Rihanna.
that's exactly the same. Not like Rihanna, but I'm
But
working.
Andor, are you still working?
I am, yes, I am still working.
Oh, wow.
Work for the NHS, no?
I do, yes. Nothing
How's that
as
going?
major. It's difficult. It's a change, but they've definitely helped us. So I'm not so involved like in wards as like other people are. So I get to work like a week from home and a week at the hospital. So it's not too bad.
Did you feel a bit nervous when everything started? Did you feel a bit like, they've got the lurgies?
No, not.
Fucking hell.
You know what? No, not at all. To be honest with you, as odd as it sounds, and it's going to sound a bit cringy, but because I know we're on a show where we talk about babies and kids, but that was generally my main worry. As long as little one was fine, my job is still there, and it's sort of what we owe the public, don't we? If you're in the health sector, that's what you have to do.
Could you see your baby?
I didn't because it just happens to be while everything was starting. I felt sick myself, which wasn't a great start. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say you felt sick about the whole situation.
So it wasn't an ideal start, to be honest. But I had to stay at home for like 4 weeks. And
Did you get coronavirus?
Oh my god.
well, you know what? The honest truth is by then.
Coronavirus!
The honest truth is by then there wasn't the test going around. I managed to do a test, I believe, last week, and that came out negative. So
you didn't have coronavirus.
Was that with the NHS that you got tested?
Yeah, I was with the NHS. I mean, you can't.
Okay.
You can't say I still can't prove that I didn't have it or that I did have it. That was just a test right and there where it tests you for that day, really and truly.
So we could possibly be speaking to a coronavirus survivor.
Or
Probably.
possibly some of you guys could have possibly had it and not felt it. So
Oh, she's funny.
How old is your little one, and what sex is your little one?
was this to me? Sorry, I was just about to
Yeah, I
grab a
got
drink.
to work, by the way.
So in for me, I've got a little one. She's 3 years old. She's a girl. I'm blessed with one for now. Unlike my colleague Kevin.
How
I'm
many
blessed
do
with
you have?
He's just
I've got 2 kids. I've got a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. So yeah, jumped on that wagon quite early in my stage.
Did you feel like the gap between them was good?
Yeah, brilliant. Because I think when Ethan was, well, that's my son. When he was born, like literally, Ariana came along like 2 years after, and with Ethan, he was already off the nappies. So yeah, it was the right gap, and they look after each other quite well as well.
So
They are
Ethan's
so
the
cute.
eldest, right?
Yeah, my boy.
How do they get on, because you say they look after them, like each other, but do they get on pretty well, or do they fight sometimes?
They do get on very well, actually. But yeah, I mean, sometimes they do have the argument or fight over things, over toys, over the TV, over the channels, or over whatever they're doing. But they do love each other because when they're not together, they miss each other a lot as well.
Oh, is your daughter quite girly?
Yes.
So, like, say she'll have a girly TV program on, and then the boy, Ethan's like, "Can you take this off? I don't want to see unicorns."
They both they're both like watching these Ryan Boy on TV, and they play what do you call it? Roblox. They love their Roblox.
What about you, Andor? How's the attitude on her? Us
You know
females
what?
tend to be born with attitude.
everything really depends on the situation. I mean, she's alone with me. She's actually really, really sweet. Obviously, as they grow a bit older, that starts to change a bit, and you see different attitudes, and I suppose more of what they're going to be like. She has a strops. She definitely has a strops. But when she's alone with me, like I said, yeah, she just really sweet. When it comes to nighttime, she'll come and she's like, "Papa, are you okay? Are you okay?" And she'll try to cover me con la cobija, you know, with my covers and whatnot. So she's really, really sweet. But she's also got that attitude in her. real bad attitude. I wonder why. I'll take the blame for that one, by the way. Yeah.
I've just seen Erica like,
I just had Joel tell me to shut up because Caden's sleeping.
How do you take that? Is that like that's good responsibility right now, or
He's a little waste man.
that's mad?
Mama's Code.
So guys, obviously today's episode we wanted to touch up on co-parenting. How's that like?
It's a huge roller coaster, to be honest with you. I mean, everybody's situation will be a bit different. In my case, I believe I'm truly blessed, to be honest with you. For the most part, there's things that we don't both agree on, but for the most part, there's certain, I wouldn't call it rules, but we've agreed, to help create that environment for our daughter, and we try to go by it as much as possible. So I really can't complain. In my case, I haven't got it that bad. But there's a lot of difficulties to it as well. I mean, time you're away from them, certain attitudes which you can tell haven't been picked up at a certain home, and you think it's all right. Why or how is that happening? And it gets a bit more difficult whilst your kid starts to, in other words, manipulate you. When they get to that point where they know how to say things and get what they want, they will say occasionally a couple of lies. So that makes it a bit more difficult to see who's telling the truth.
Wow, is she already there?
She certainly is, yeah. I mean, I'll give you a quick example where it was a bit disheartening for me. It was the first time, which was not long ago actually. She was at my house and she's like, "Papa, I'm bored. I want to go to my mom's." Now, as a dad, that is quite hard to take in, because you try to do everything possible to ensure that the time you have with them is valuable and is amazing. And in your expectation is you want your kid not to leave you, basically. That's what you want to create, and that's the way you can sort of measure. So you know what, I know I've had an amazing weekend with her. So I thought I was a bit sad, and she's like, "I want to speak to my mom." She started crying. So I'm like, I phoned her mom, like, "Listen, she wants to go to your house. I personally think it's right for her to stay, but what do you think?" She's like, "No, I want her to stay." I'm like, blatantly, she was busy. Nah, I'm joking. So
Mama needs a break, like, oh,
no, 100% is exactly that. So she was like, no, tell her to stay. Anyway, the point is, I took her home, and not that same day actually. So you guys know, I wasn't like that. But I have it for the weekend, so I took her back. And then her mom calls me. And she says, "Alejandro, listen to this." She's like, "Papa, I'm bored here. Can I go to your house?" Oh. So now she's playing both roles. So whenever she's bored at mine, because perhaps I'm not giving her a particular, attention of, for example, TV or whatever it may be, she decides, "All right, I want to go to my mom's." And then when that happens at her mom's, she says, "I want to go to my dad's."
damn.
So, she's starting to definitely manipulate both of us. I can only imagine Kevin's situation is a bit worse.
Well, actually, in my situation, when this all came up and I had to leave home, I sat down with.
Wait, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I can't let this moment pass. Did you hear when Boris said, "If you can leave home, go. If you can't, stay"? I'm guessing this isn't your situation, but go on.
Jessica is not okay, I promise you.
Anyway, as I was saying, I had a conversation with her mom, and the first thing we talked about was the kids. That was my priority, to make sure that they were going to be okay. So her message to me was like, you are going to have access to the kids whenever you like, basically. So that came in good. I keep him like every other weekend with me, and now since we're working from home, I keep him longer. So I keep him for a week, for a few days, and they love it here, to be honest. They love being at both sides. They do miss me when I'm not around. So in the last few nights, Ariana, for instance, was like, "Oh, she was missing Dad," but that's mainly because she would sleep with me in the same bed. So she's used to, she was used to that for a few days, and then when she went back home, she has her own bed, and she has to sleep alone. So they were calling me like almost every night to say, "Oh yeah, I'm missing Daddy, and Daddy, I want to be with you," and all of this. But
do they not play you and say the mum? Because I have it with my children, and me and Camilla are in the same household. So I'll say to Joel, "No, you can't have papitas," and then he'll go to Camilla and be like, "Yeah, Mummy said yeah," and I'll be like, "Well, when did I say yes?"
No, not necessarily. They're good kids. And if they give me attitude, then you know what happens. Yeah, all Colombia.
La chancla.
Punch in the throat.
La chancla.
The return of La Chancla.
What would you guys say has been the most challenging so far with co-parenting?
I think we're gonna have different. We're definitely gonna have different views. I think I'm not sure about too much about Kevin's situation, but I left mine. Well, left is not the word, but things didn't work out between baby's mom and myself, and I couldn't be with my little one from quite a young age. There's a lot of things that I feel I missed out on while she was obviously growing up. The first few steps, first few words, I would always find out via the mum. And it's like, when am I going to experience something where it's like, yes, the first time she's done something with her dad. So I found that quite challenging, to be honest with you, to get to grips with all of that. To see my baby's reaction, that was super difficult because I could see it, even though she was still a baby, I could see it. Like, she would come from my house, she would fall asleep, and when she would wake up, she's at her mum's house. So she's obviously like, what the hell is happening? You know what I mean? Like, I wake up in one place and then I go to sleep in another. So I could generally sense that she was like, as a baby, she was generally confused. And gradually you do start to see that change within them. And you see that she starts to understand, like, all right, that's mum's house, this is where I live, this is dad's house. And that starts to comfort you a bit because you start to understand that they are understanding it. Mm-hmm. But that gap in particular was a very difficult seeing her grow, and seeing that she was confused was very difficult.
Yeah, well, in my case, I left home when they were quite big, as we say. So the challenging thing here is, not being able to be there in the afternoons after work, where I would help out, with the dinner, put him to sleep, have them having a bath, putting them to bed and to sleep. And now that's gone. So basically, I can only do that when I'm around, every other day. So that is definitely a challenging situation for me because I was so used to do almost not everything. But a lot. Be involved. I was so involved in their lives. So yeah, that's challenging.
It makes you wonder which is more difficult. Because I don't think neither of them are easier or more difficult than the other. But in your case, I think you managed to. Sorry, I'm sort of taking on your job, bro. But it's just funny to see another perspective, and I think this is amazing. This is what the platform is for. But I've always asked myself that would it have been better for me to have stayed around longer and then have to say bye. I come from a broken home, but my dad left me. I was relatively a grown-ass man. You know what I mean? So I always thought, what would have been the same situation with my daughter? Would it have been better to create a different bond and then have to leave that, or start a fresh bond, even though it was hard at the beginning, start a fresh one? And that's almost like the only thing we know. Because if you're used to living with your kids, they adapt to a certain way, you adapt to a certain thing, and to have to cut that loose, I can only imagine that's super hard. Was that your situation, Kev?
It was gradual, I think. I didn't leave. We didn't have that discussion, and then I said, right, this is it. I'm gone tomorrow, and that is it. I think it went through a few months. So I moved out, but then I was very involved. I would come almost every day. I would stay some nights as well. So it was gradual.
Trying to not say anything. I was biting my tongue, Erica.
Would be Erica.
See, Erica was quiet, but
Tornado.
she was coming. I knew
she's picking up everything.
I knew that was coming. But yeah, it was very gradual. So they're so used to me as well as they're so used to their mum. So I'm happy for that, and they're healthy and, very good kids. And they got good values as well with their mum and myself.
I was just going to add that, obviously, from what Andor was just saying, that I've come from a broken home as well. I was 14 when my dad left the house. And for me, it was very difficult, but he left the house when I was 14. I was really close to my dad. My dad I was dad's little princess, and, everything, the best in the world he wanted for me, as all parents do. So the moment I find out that he was, he had left, it was kind of my mum saying, go look in your dad's wardrobe, his things are gone. And I just couldn't believe it. And I just shut down, and I was like, oh, like, it's fine, like, whatever, I don't care. And I shut myself down for a good 2-3 years, bringing me up to 17 maybe. And in that time, it was very hard. And I could see my dad's efforts, trying to keep that connection with me and that relationship that we had. And I was kind of like, I'm all about my friends and, like, going out and, and then I kind of hit rock bottom when I realized, when it hurt me to see my little sister crying, seeing my dad leave the house after a weekend. And to me, it hit me like, obviously I was older, I was able to understand what had happened at some extent, whereas my little sister was, stuck to the window crying and screaming for dad, and, like, my mom's in the background, like, trying to be strong for my sister and for me. So now that, I've had I put myself in that situation, because we can't stay in a relationship because of our kids. We don't agree with that.
100%.
You take the mature thing and leave. So this is my question. Do you think if you would have stayed longer and made this relationship sour, would the co-parenting situation be a bit more difficult? Or you think, like, you left at a good time for it to be so smooth so far?
In my case, I think I left at the right time, because otherwise it would have been probably worse. And, having the 2 kids, we have to have that conversation. Stop it, Erica. But yeah, things sometimes have to come to an end, and we just have to live with it.
What about you, Andor?
It's super mad, because from the moment I knew we was going to be doing this podcast, for some reason, that question is almost like I was interviewing myself. I just knew it would pop up, and
were you in front of the mirror?
Practicing your answer.
Thankfully not. And to be honest with you, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, because you don't know what could happen if you did stay. And I think that's the worst thing you can do, to be honest with you, because you're going to live full of regrets. The reality is what's done is done. You know what I mean? If I had prolonged it, it's like, what if I'd stayed longer? What if, things might have patched out, things might have worked, my kid might love me more. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. The reality is, at that moment in time, that was a decision. That's what happened. And you've got to face up to it, regardless if it was the right one or the wrong one. It's done. You just got to make the most out of it. So with time, I've learned that there's not much point to reminisce on that.
I think if kids are bigger, I think it's, what Jessica was saying there, it gets more difficult for them at a certain age. Whereas if they are, 3, 4, 5 years old, they don't really understand. And as they grow older, they grow with the fact that, they spend time with their mom and they spend time with their dad, and that's life, basically. As opposed to, if we were to leave when they're like 10, 13.
My bringing might have been a bit, no, I wouldn't say different, but it just happens to be, I'm closer to my dad. And as we well know, it tends to be boys are closer to moms, girls closer to dads. I love them both equally, but I just get along better with my dad. And he's the same person that actually advised me. He's like, there's no reason to stay in a relationship longer than you have to because of a kid. And I didn't quite understand it. And in the deeper I'll talk to him and the longer conversation, you'll be like, I don't want to bring back, because I know it will hurt you, it's still your mum. But that's exactly what happened between your mum and I. I stayed so many years just to stay closer to you that I missed out many years of my own life of being able to do what I wanted to do. Regardless of what happened, I mean, if his decision was right or not, I've still got that same affection towards him, as odd as it is. At that time, I was around the same age as Jessica. I was around 15, 16 when he left. And it was hard, but up to today, I still got along better with him. And it's so odd because that's what I aspire with my kid. I mean, I don't think it's a competition thing, but I definitely, like it or not, in my case, when you're co-parenting, and I know I'm not every day with my daughter, I still could say aspire to or dream that my daughter has that same affection that I have towards my dad. So I'm not sure. I might not agree 100% with what you say there, Kev. But that's because my situation isn't one that's very common.
Daddy, I love you.
I think this question mainly goes for Kevin because, Andor, you obviously, La Niña was very small for you to explain what was happening. Whereas Kevin, you obviously left home. How did you approach your children to understand the new normal?
That's hard.
That's a good question. I think they still don't understand it much, to be honest, because there's not like, okay, dad has to leave and he's not coming back. It was I left, but I carried on seeing them quite often, so that they didn't have that, so that they weren't that impacted about the whole situation. So we try to make it as smooth as we could, and I think it's working out well because they now understand that they're not that dad is not spending the evening there or most evenings there. And that they spend time with me, and they understand it that way, and they're happy they're happy with it. So, yeah, we definitely tried it to be as smooth as.
But you didn't talk
could.
to them, so you didn't sit like. I'm assuming like when Jess and Andor, your parents spoke to you, kind of like we're breaking up. This is happening, or like in Jess' situation, her mum just said, "Look, the cupboard's empty."
My mum was savage. I got home from school, and I was like, "Hola, ma, what's for food?" And she was fuming, and she was like, "Your dad took all his clothes," and I was like, "So is there no food?" And it's so weird because the way it happened, it's like I knew it was coming, but I didn't want to. Like I was in denial, let's say. And obviously like we had gone through such a traumatic past few years. Like my mum was kind of on the verge of like dying basically, that it just all happened. So I don't know, it was just not the time for me to digest it as it was. And at that time it was like my 15th were coming up. I was gassed. I was like, that's more important than what's happening at home.
I wasn't invited to those 15th. I remember.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Shall we leave the meeting? So I wasn't as focused. And then I remember the day of my 15th, when you turn candles, on the last candle, my dad came to hug me and he was like, "Happy birthday." And he was like, "Did you ask for everything you wanted?" And he was like, "Actually, just know whatever you propose to yourself in life, you can get." And I was like, "Does that include having my home again and you coming home?" And I started crying and I was like, "Please come back home." And everyone's like coming over to say like happy birthday and hug me and dancing. And I was just like we crossed eyes in that moment and I could see the pain in him. And at this point, we still hadn't had a conversation of, what happened and why it happened until probably like a year later, like when I was 16, we actually sat down because I think I felt a bit more mature about taking and in understanding what. And I can, openly say that until now at my big ass age, I'm still not, I guess, I'm still hurting from it, but I've learned to understand that.
Do you somewhat feel jealous from your baby sister that she got to spend more time with her dad than you did?
No, I don't, because I had a great childhood with my dad and I remember everything. And I remember I was the light of his eyes. And until now, like it's a very different relationship now because obviously he sees me as a woman and he sees me more of, she's doing her own thing. But I can actually say, if anything, I spent the best years of him and I enjoyed them. So.
It's interesting you say that because I was going to ask you both, have you had any situations where your kids have asked you a question that have made you feel a bit uncomfortable, you know, even if it was done innocently, you know, even if it's like, why can't you stay, daddy? Like, let's say Andor, you know, La Niña isn't old enough maybe to understand 100%.
It's weird to say that she's not old enough to put it into a proper phrase, but I tend to go to all the activities with mum. So she got swimming, I'll go swimming. I'll go to pick her up every day that she's at nursery with mum. And the older she grows, she will be like, when I drop them off at home, they'll be like, is this where you're getting to? Is that it? You go back? You know what I mean? So she sort of put that in a question, and then she'll be like, why are you not at mum's house? She sort of said that in broken words, you know, but she has hinted at it before, you know. So it is difficult because I know sooner or later the question will arise, you know. But again, I do genuinely feel blessed because I think we're carrying things as good as we can, if you know what I mean. So when the time does come up, you know, we'll say it whichever way we think is best to say it to her. But you know, she just clearly knows dad's house, and she gets excited. She like, because I've been at 2 different houses before, and every time we go past her, she's like, that's Papa's old house. You know what I mean? So she definitely tells, like, she can differentiate both houses. Yeah. She clearly knows that we live apart. Maybe not why, but she knows that we live apart. So we'll see what the future holds. You know, once the question is a bit more elaborated.
Well, for me, sometimes my son has asked me, can you stay over, or my little girl, she's like, can you stay over? But my answer is no. I gotta go. But I'll come in 2 days or 3 days, and I'll pick you up and I'll bring you over to grandma's, and they love being here. So that's it. It is uncomfortable for me, I must say, because like I said earlier, you know, I do miss being with them and spending time with them. But I have to learn to live with it as it is.
It's weird because I think most times, more often than not, obviously, there's it's not great to bring up a child in 2 different households, but there is advantages to it when you decide to look at the positives. You know, the fact that I get to spend that genuine alone time with my daughter without having a mum behind me saying, don't do that, you know, do it this way, is a freedom that I suppose some guys don't really get. I mean, they might get it a couple of hours while the mum's out with her friends or shopping or whatever. Like I said, one thing, my daughter is with me, and I can see how different she is when she's with her mum. Not necessarily in a bad way, but you can definitely tell the difference. So it allows you to gain a bigger insight into the way your child's mind functions, or the emotions. And it's some glimpses that I suppose some dads might not be able to see that often. So there is some positives, actually. I thought I might just throw that out there.
I'm just going to go dump Ollie so, you know, he can get something.
No, it's so true. Erica actually said this in one of our previous episodes, that like you'll be home with the kids all day or whenever, and then the dad gets home, they still don't want the dad, they still want you, and you're just like, oh, for crying out loud, get off my leg, like your dad is here.
I obviously experienced having a child before Jessica and Melissa. I did tell them that with Joel, I felt like I wanted to be in control of everything. And, you know, I wanted to, you know, breastfeed and bottle feed, whichever one it was, but I wanted to do it. I wanted to be in charge of making the decisions. And when it came to them, I was like, I learned the hard way that I wasn't allowing Ollie to get, you know, quality time with Joel as he would have liked. Because obviously he only got 2 weeks off. Then he had to go back to work. And then realistically, you think about it, and we've touched on this subject before, you guys don't get to bond with the child. So, you know, yes, we're with them 24/7, but if we don't allow you guys to do things your way, because yes, you come home and try bath the baby, but I'll be there like, no, I don't do it like that. You need to do it different. It's not, you know, as a man, you're going to be like, well, then just you do it then, if you're always going to be on top of
I'm not going to lie to you. It's an amazing experience. when you look at the positives. I don't think it's the way forward. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying to every dad, leave your wives and that's not it. Yeah, that's not it.
You're listening, please.
Yo, you don't know you're missing out. But there's just so many things. It's very gratifying to be able to get home, and it's not really gratifying. I'm not gonna lie to you. But, like, you know, because I feel for you. Like, put it this way, I've been able to understand a woman's role, a mum's role, a lot more being a co-parent. Because as a man in your household, I'm not saying all of that again, but for the most part, a woman will cook for their child, and whilst they're doing it, will cook for your husband or your partner, your other half, right? In my case, I understand what it is for a woman to go to work, come home tired, and have to cook for the child, because if you don't cook, they're not eating. And I have to go through that. You know what I mean? Like, I'll come home, like tomorrow, for example, I'm not lying to you. Coming home on Friday, I'm tired, I have to pick them up. I've already started my preparation. Tonight, I cooked some of the food to have it ready for tomorrow. So that when she comes, she doesn't have to wait long for her food. But that's gratifying.
Cute.
You know what I mean? It's gratifying
so
it's gratifying that we get to do that as well. And I suppose in a certain way, we might not have got along well as a partner with my baby's mom, you know, as a relationship. But you are able to understand a lot more what they do for your kids. You know, so we do. I'm not sure if Kevin shares the same opinion, but that's my case.
With me, I was so I was so involved. You know, from the moment Ethan was born, I was so involved in taking care of him. So like, because obviously, you know, when I said they women, when they have the baby, they're so tired after it, having to go through the pain and so on. So I was so involved from day one. So, you know, I'll be waking up in the middle of the night, like every 3 hours. I even had alarms to wake up even before the kid would wake up to feed him, and bottle feed him, of course. I was so involved.
No, le sacaba la teta a su mujer.
Just whip.
I was so involved. So I would wake up and just check up on him to make sure he's breathing, that he's not covered himself with the
the duvet, the little cover thing. Yeah.
So I was so involved from day one, and
respect to you, brother.
Up until now, I call him every day.
Respect to you, brother, because I'm not gonna lie to you. That was one of my guilts. I think we talked about something about, some guilts you will have, and that is I had to do it forced, I suppose. But I was back then when I was with my daughter, my baby's mom, I had a night job. So I would get home around 3:00, and I'm one that just has a deep sleep, very deep sleep. And obviously, mum is like, "It's your turn." I'm like, "I'm not listening to anything." Like, it's like, you can't wake me up, period. And she had to go at me because of that. I'm like, I'm not doing it on purpose. Believe me, I would love to be able to feed my daughter.
Can I just say something?
I'm just such a deep sleeper.
She
and I'm tired.
100% kicked
the times ain't convenient right now.
I guarantee it.
No. Don't get me wrong. I would get that, or I'd get the attitude after, either or. Don't get me wrong. I didn't get away with it scot-free. But that is one of my guilts, because regardless, I think like most parents, most moms, you do get an extra burst of energy, or Lord knows, patience out of the blue, out from nowhere. You know what I mean? To do certain things. And that is one of my small regrets. I mean, in a certain way, I had to do it regardless anyway, because once I did move out, it was just me. So I had to. There was no other way about it. But that is something I could have done a bit different, I suppose. But respect to Kevin for being that involved, man.
Daddy, I love you.
You're picking up your kids, you've had your time with them, and then you drop them off. At that moment, like, how do you feel? Dropping them off, and you're going to see them again in a couple of days, or, max a week, or let's say. But how do you feel like?
It's so mixed, it's unreal. It would seem like I'm wrong for saying it. There's days, not often, but there's days when it's like, cool, I've got things to do as well, and it's not much time I've got to myself. And it's like, cool, she's with her mum, she's happy. But the moment you get home, you feel some emptiness that you can't explain it. And regardless, if you had 1,001 plans to do and you said I'm going to do it, when you get home and you feel the emptiness, it destroys you. I'm not going to lie to you. It generally does destroy you because in my case, I've just got one, but that one keeps me on my toes. You know, she's craving attention 100 like all day, noise, the mess, everything. You know what I mean? When you live alone, and you ain't got a kid next to you, you know, you eat when you're hungry and you wait a bit longer than you should and you do things your way. When you got a kid, you don't have that privilege. You have to have like that little timetable, like right, at this time they're about to get hungry, at this time they have to go to bed, it's around time they get a shower. So your mind is constantly functioning and you feel like by leaving them off is like, great, I've done my bit, I've had fun with them, I've seen them, I'm going to see them again. But like once you get home, that emptiness just destroys you. And there's no other way of really describing it. It's funny because, you know, when I take her home, there's still sometimes things lying around the floor or things she's done. You know, she's stuck like little stickers on my chanclas. I know I don't hit her with my chancla, but or cupboards. You know what I mean? And it's funny because sometimes I leave them. Call me crazy, but I leave them. Like I don't get angry for her doing them little things because that just reminds me of like. You know, it is what it is. She's at that age.
It is.
It is. It really is. It's a perspective that I could go on. I think there's a lot of things that are injustice for parents, for dads that are co-parenting. Many things. And that's what drives me crazy, like in general, the way society looks at it. But that's another subject.
Do you think it's taken a toll on your mental health?
Yes, sometimes I do. You know, when you see that emptiness and that loneliness when you're at home, because the kids are not around, sometimes you do feel sad, or I do feel sad at times. But then I've always tried to think about the positives that come along. You know, right? I'm going to see them again. They're okay. They're growing up all right. They need to spend time with their mom as well. So I put those things into perspective, and then I get better. Right? It's not that I'm going to go and drink and just like be silly about it.
So you don't sit at the end of your bed rocking yourself back and forth.
No, I haven't gone to that stage. Because I've got, you know, like I said earlier on, I've got that privilege that I got access to them whenever I want. So if I want to video call them, I can. When I want to call them, I can. I'm not sure if that's going to change. It could change, but for now, I'll just make the most of it.
I think mentally, for me, it did make me very unstable, and I did find myself rocking myself to bed. I was on the other spectrum. You got to remember. My daughter was literally 3 months. The time that I sort of got to live, you know, my own way, and the time was limited. There was still wounds on behalf with the mother's relationship. I hadn't created a bond with my daughter. There wasn't a bond, you know. So the way I had to create my bond with my daughter was a very gradual and slow way of getting there. It was very hurtful to have to leave your daughter, and it played a big impact in the way I saw things. And it took me a long time to get accustomed to it. It took me a very long time to get accustomed to it. Even to certain days. I mean, I suppose Kevin has I know his kids are a bit older, but you know, if his kids calling to say I miss you, I get that rarely. I rarely get a call from my daughter to say I miss you, and that's when you reevaluate yourself and you say, am I generally doing a good job? Am I generally doing enough? Like I said, this is without filters, you know what I mean? I found it so hard to create that bond with my daughter that there was a time where her mum, and this is why I sing her praises, because she called me and said, you're not seeing your daughter enough. Like I said, it took me a long time to adapt. It took me a very long time to adapt. And for everything, I'm grateful. It's part of the journey. And for me, it was part of the journey. But I did feel a big mental change and aspect, and it was hard to come back.
Do you feel you weren't seeing her enough because obviously what had happened with the mother, or because you felt you didn't have a bond with your daughter, so you kind of felt like
both? Generally both. A mix of both, definitely. There was a time where I couldn't. I'm going to put it out there, I couldn't stand the mum. I wasn't adapting well to what was happening at my life at that particular time. So I found it hard to even go and pick up my child and have to see her mum. You know what I'm saying? It was having to do with two emotions, basically a relatively newborn baby, and have so much love, and at the same time, you could call it. I wouldn't call it the word now, because the way I see things now is very different. But back then, I could only put it together as a particular hate, I suppose, or despite. Having some spite towards somebody, and that's the reality. Is just, you know, like I said, this is a place to speak with no filters. That's what was happening. So it's very hard to have two total different emotions for one thing. Yeah. It's like, I really want to see my daughter, but I don't want to go and see her because I don't want to see her mum.
Yeah.
So where do you stand? Like I said, I had countless nights where I would come home crying, man. I would hit the walls. I would cry. I would rock myself to bed. There was no ways around it. The first time your daughter start to say things as well, even they're hurtful. And I know she's a daughter. Sometimes she doesn't mean what she says or doesn't understand what she's saying. But there's
that guilt.
When you miss certain things of your lives, of your daughter's life, like little things that you wish you were there for, that's when you start to question. I didn't have Kevin manage to experience the first few things with these kids. I didn't. So there was always that bit of like bitterness towards my baby's mum. It's like, you're getting to see everything.
It's kind of like you resented her, right?
So that's exactly the word. It wasn't hate. That's exactly the word I was looking for. Resent. Well, I wasn't looking for it, but you said it. But that's exactly, I resented it. And I suppose in a certain way, I was jealous. I was jealous that she could do anything she wanted in the world, and she could do it with our kid.
It's hard. So touching on that subject, how would you say is your relationship with your ex now?
I think it will never be perfect. It will never be perfect because we're two different beings. We have different views, perspectives upon things. But it is a very, very high-end spectrum. Like, it is, we get on very well. Like I said, like Kevin, I can go to see my daughter when I want, and at the end of the day, that's what matters. I get to see my daughter when I please. As long as she's not busy and hasn't got plans with our kid, she's like, yeah, take her away. And I think you guys might agree. Sometimes you need that time, you know. So she's forever grateful. She'll be like, yeah, bring her. Oh, it's cool.
Of course, you can take her.
You know what I mean?
You can take mine as well if you want.
Literally, and that's literally it. You know what I mean? So she, any day, if I want to stay with her, any day during the weekend, for a week, if I want to go on holidays, I've got all that available to me, you know. She has not put any limits on me whatsoever. I could not really fault the relationship I have with baby's mum at the moment. I can't.
Did it take a long time for you to kind of sit down and talk it through?
No, there was never no need. To be honest with you, she was never that person. She just never was. She always had, it seemed that she had a vision a lot more clear than I did. I'm the one that had certain issues, if you want to call it that, understanding stuff, but she was very clear from the get-go, you know, take your daughter when you want. Mind you, actually, and this, I'm not sure what you guys will say, now that we're here, so when I first had my daughter...
Are you going to gun us down?
No, but it's I don't know, I think it's worth noting, and if anybody is listening, and, you know, might have a similar scenario to mine, or, you know, it might help, but when I first went to pick up my daughter, her mum said to me, you can't stay with her. Like I said, she was around 3 months at this age. And by then, in my eyes, she wasn't breastfeeding, right? Why are you telling me I can't? Right, what can you provide right now that I can't provide? Because if you're not giving her breast milk, other than that, there's nothing I can't do right now. You know, if you're going to bathe her, if you're going to give her bottle, I can do that. It's nothing that human nature doesn't allow me to do. And I had this small discussion with her, and thankfully she saw through, and she actually did allow me to stay with her. But I'm sure there might be some mums out there that might agree with what she said originally. I don't know. What's your views on that? I
don't know. I think if did she have another reason to say that? I'm kind of finding it hard to understand why she would have said it in the first place. I
personally think it might be because obviously it's a first baby. As a woman, you get really attached to your child. I mean, I didn't want it, like, all of us three. We've said it in all our episodes, you know, when you first have a baby, you get very attached to the child, and you automatically think, if I need to take care of my baby, you know, like, and that's why I've said sometimes women can come and be like, oh no, you're doing it wrong because you have to kind of do it the way I do it. So maybe it was that kind of like she wanted the baby for herself.
But it's a shared emotion. We feel the same thing. I mean, I'm not saying...
No, I understand that. I'm just saying that's why maybe she thought, you know, like she's still very small, so you can't take her.
And that's pretty much the way I saw it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But like I said, my eyes is like, I'm a human being. I follow as much as I can. I'm learning just like you. It's not like it's your second baby or third, it's also your first baby. What makes you naturally, like, other than the breastfeeding and that, more prepared than me? Yes, don't get me wrong, I understand you carried the baby for 9 months, but as a person in judgment, there's just as much possibilities of something going wrong or right from both sides.
I feel like it's just
I was
that
gonna
mothering.
say the instinct.
Yeah, and maybe not even that, just the way we are, like we were saying, like the controlling and the, like, that's part of us. And I'm not saying it's not part of you, because every child came from the dad's balls, but it's just that you just
see how
feel,
it is.
I don't know, it always say like, yeah, gotta say it. But I just think it's that, you know, everything that you're going through emotionally and physically, and just that attachment, and they're just that, like, como una fiera over your child.
But if you times that by 2 people, so imagine I've got exactly the same attitude, where's that taking you? Because if I get heated up when you're trying to take my daughter away from me,
yeah, I
not
just
let me
think
see.
it's a different emotional.
I don't think we can ever. I don't think we can ever understand either
side. Yeah,
100%. I agree with that. 100%.
You saying that, in my eyes, I was like, shit, really? The guys feel like that? That might sound very gullible of me, but obviously, like we said, like as women, we carry our children, we birth them. If we want to breastfeed, we bond with them. You almost feel like the connection you have with your child is different to that of the dad.
And it's not.
So I don't think we can ever understand being in the other position, because I don't know.
It's like the dad won't understand why, and the mom won't understand
there's
why.
big stereotypes, I would say, and there's a stereotype towards men and women, and the fact that you guys carry a kid for 9 months, so I get that, right? But then if I was to say
but
to
it's
you,
also that hormone imbalance that we go through.
that's cool. But if I was to tell you, a woman that abandons a kid also has carried her kid for 9 months, where does that place her?
In a mental health hospital.
See what I mean? Like, because in theory, they've had the same bond that you've had with your kid. You carried them for 9 months. And there's mums that ain't great mums.
Yeah.
Because we stereotype more that, oh, the man's the one that leaves the home. The man's the one that leaves the kids. Like it or not, in your subconscious, you've already got that mentality built inside your minds.
I'm not going to lie, you've actually like lost me here. As in the words, like I don't have words to say right now, because
I completely agree with you. And I think I learned from my mistakes of Ollie telling me, you know, like he had to sit down one day and be like, but you don't let me do anything, you know. And then the thing is, I would cry and be like, I'm exhausted, I haven't slept. Joel was very colicky, you know, but he would try to help me, and I'll be like, no, you're not doing it properly, or the baby will cry, so I'll just grab him, because I'll get annoyed that, you know, you're meant to be helping me, but you're not stopping him from crying. And then he kind of like, I'm trying to do the best that I can, you know, like I didn't take the manual away from you and kind of know secretly what to do. It's not that. We're both learning on the job.
But do you think, like we've already said, there's that pressure?
I feel for Ollie now.
There was that pressure, especially sometimes for mums, to think that they know what they're doing.
No, because there isn't that pressure, Fish. That pressure you put in your head, because you don't leave the hospital. No, it's not in society. Because when I had Joel, I never felt that anyone told me, you know what to do. I've said it. For 2 weeks I didn't do jack shit, because I've never changed a nappy in my life.
I think it's more an ego thing.
Yeah, I think it's
more an ego thing, where just as much.
Well, I guess it depends. Sorry, I'm just trying to see the thing here, because I mean, I didn't feel the pressure of like, you're now a mom and you now need to do, because I didn't put that feeling on me. I just thought, you know, shut up, like this is my house, and if I don't know how to change a nappy, I don't know, I'll Google it or YouTube. But I know for a fact that there's moms out there that have other people saying to them, oh, you know, your mother instinct will kick in as soon as you see your baby. Oh, you'll know what you do. And so now that mom has gone away thinking, where's my mother instinct? Like, is it my bag?
I think that's what I mean. Yeah, I think that's what I mean from that pressure point, like, you know, that expectation.
I don't think there's a one answer for everything, and like we're all so different, and
Yeah.
we're all brought up so differently and see things so differently. There's not one answer for everyone, but I just wanted to put that out there because something that I found myself, and this is one of the things that had me rocking on my bed, and I just felt I wish I had put a step up on it on a serious level though to take it further. The way I saw it, I mean, don't get me wrong, when you got the world caving in, you see everything so negatively, everything just
you can't
goes
see
out of
past.
proportion, right? But I've noticed as a dad, and I think this is a touchy subject, but it's something that definitely needs to be put out there, is there's a lot of restrictions, a lot of limits to dads. It's almost like we're the bad guys in society, or even more so for the government in this country where we're living in right now, right? So what I found, what I'm trying to say, but this is what I found is, if I wanted to fight for my kid, I was going to lose. I go to pick up my kid, I have to give them a password, like I'm about to bloody kidnap my own kid, right? I got a passport, I don't hold a passport for my daughter. And it's like, everything is against, in my case, everything feels like it's against me, right? But what is to say that baby's mom's going to kidnap the kid? What's to say baby's mom's going to take my kid out of the country? I don't have a passport to say, no. I mean, we have an agreement, oddly enough, because when we take out the Colombian one, I'm going to hold the Colombian one. Just for ease of mind, for the sake of it, you know what I mean? Just to show that, she trusts in me, I trust in her, type of thing. But the whole school thing is what really gets me, because that's a government thing, The fact that I have to go to my daughter's nursery and give them a password that the baby's mum has given me is like, I can't come to pick up my own daughter.
I don't think it's a government thing. I don't know. I'm not sure.
My bad. That's
maybe
the
because,
particular nursery.
Yeah, because I think it's who's down as emergency contact 1 and 2.
I'm down on it, but I still need to get a password.
Well, then it's the nursery, yeah.
Yeah, but she can go in and pick up the kid, you know what I mean? And I'm down as the father, emergency contact, everything.
The Holy Spirit.
I found myself more often than not, like, and I'm talking about parents that, I'm talking about dads in particular, almost a similar situation to mine, where the mom isn't, I wouldn't say perform, but isn't being great, let's just say.
Toxic. Let's just put it out there. They're toxic.
Yeah, and if they were to go to the government, that man, hands down, an old somebody that's personally lost £15,000 trying to go to court and only ended up worse off. And it's like, you've got proof that she's not generally doing very good. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, from the get-go, we're seeing in a negative light men in general, dads, from a government perspective, towards law and that. And I don't think that's right, man, because I've personally come across amazing dads.
Yeah, 100%.
I've come across amazing dads. Some of them, and that's exactly what it comes to. That's what I see in my eyes. This is my journey, what I've had to go through. And I know I'm not the only one, because I said I know a bunch of guys that are in a similar situation. They've had very similar
It's
run-ins.
funny you touch on this, because like I know a few people that are going, like, that have toxic baby mummies, and it literally boils my blood, because I've always been one to say, if your relationship is sour, then just end it, but your relationship ends with the man, not with like the baby and the dad. It shouldn't be that. And sometimes I'm like, why doesn't, like, because for me it's frustrating to see like some of these men just like, oh no, well, I'm not going to fight it. And I'm like, why would you not fight for your child? But then obviously getting it from you that it's really difficult. I see it so unfair, because just like Moves like Jess said, like we wouldn't have the child if it wasn't for you guys.
It's extremely difficult. I mean, in my case, I was going to fight, but then for no apparent reason. Yeah. It's only when you pause and you realize it's like, hold up, I've got it good. I know kids that don't know where their kids are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I said, I've got it good. Let's leave it as it is. I'm about to commit suicide. That's what I'm about to do. But you don't realize that when you're heated and you're not thinking rationally, right? So I'll speak for my case in general as it is. Like I said, I've got it good. I get along with her. I speak with her. My view is I need mum to be good, period. I've always told her, like, with everything that's happening now, I said, don't leave home. If you need shopping, let me know. I'm already out on the street. I'll take shopping, because I need her to be good for my daughter.
Yeah.
But it's only with a certain matureness, certain situations that put you into that mind frame of thinking that, right? But like I said, where I was before, I went to a bloody lawyer to speak for no apparent reason, because it's not like she was not letting me see my daughter. But I just had, like I said, that bitterness that is like, well, I want my daughter to be just equally as much time with me than she's with her mum.
Jessica's
Yeah,
not here.
Jessica, drop.
It was an emotional speech. So
You'll learn these things, I think, with time, and at the beginning, but for instance, I was supposed to see my kids yesterday. Their mum sent me a text, said, "Oh, can you come Friday? You're picking them up, and you're going to spend a week with them because I've got plans with them on the Wednesday." And I thought, yeah, brilliant, no problem. I'll pick him up on Friday. Had it been at a different time, then I would have been like, why? No, I want to see my kids. I want to go there. I miss them. I want to spend time with them. In a mature way, I thought, yeah, okay, cool.
Or it could have been the thing where, what if you had made plans on the Wednesday too, and then just because she's got plans, and then now it's kind of like, well,
exactly.
No, I mean, if I had, I'm pretty sure that if I had valid, a valid reason to say, actually, I've made plans already, and this was our agreement, she would have understood, because she's like that. She understands stuff. So
100%. I've actually gone through that myself already. So, and it's totally fine. Back then, just to prove a point, I'll be like, oh hell no, I'm picking up today. Today's my day.
Yeah.
Why you change? Today's my day. There's no excuse.
So it's emotions aside.
It's emotions, but when you realize and you say, hold up, but this could happen to me. Don't get me wrong, it's very rare up to now, because I've still got many years to go.
Yeah.
Up to now, I'm very conscious of the time I get to spend with my daughter. So I hardly ever, if probably not, miss a day with my daughter when it's my day or my weekend, right? And if for every reason, which has been 2-3 times max, that I've had to give her one day earlier before I had said or whatever, I will make up for the day. That's not a problem. But I am very conscious about that. I don't let other things revolve around the time of my man. It's the opposite way. But I can understand from a mom's perspective, when I finish tired with my kid after a weekend, so I don't know how you women do it on a daily basis, man. So I get it if she tells me, give me an extra day, like, cool, I'm all for that. I get to have my daughter an extra day.
I can't answer that because I don't know how I get by every day anyways.
Same. Kevin, so would you say that your relationship now with your ex is fine? It's okay?
Absolutely. I mean, when ultimately what we're doing the best we can, mainly for the sake of the kids, make sure that they find they're emotionally well, that they're healthy. So yeah, and I do have a good relationship with her. I can talk to her as a friend, for instance. We spend time together with the 4 of us. We spend some hours together, and we keep that going so that the kids know that there is a type of unity between her and I.
I think that's super important, personally.
Yeah.
Try and keep it as close as what the norm would have been, without confusing them neither, but balanced is the word. I think it's essential. Like I said, with Kev, I don't really go that much into a house. I mean, it's not that I can't, but we do obviously share the whole swimming, picking up we go to the park together once in a while. You know what I mean?
I guess in my situations, things, I hope they don't change, but it might change if third parties come into the picture. Things could change in the way they are now. But again, that's a challenge that I've not faced yet. But yeah. Kind of
let me know when you're ready.
I was just going to put that.
Let me know when you're ready, bro.
I was just going to put that bomb.
When that time comes, we
I don't want to know. Right? I don't want to know you when that time comes. I'm joking. I'm here for you, bro.
We talk, and it's like, right now, we're partners or whatever. We'll need to understand that we share 2 kids. We will need to be in contact anyhow. So I don't know. When the time comes, I'll tell you guys how that goes on.
I've always asked this question to everyone. If, like, say your your exes, were to be in a new relationship, how would you think you would deal with it?
That's a tough one because it's difficult to say. I probably have to deal with it. I don't know how, to be honest. I don't have a straight answer right now. I think you learn to live with things as they come along. I could say 1,000 things today and say this and that, but I could be lying to you. So I really don't know, to be honest.
100%. That's something you can't answer until it's happened.
What about the other way? What about if it's you guys?
Yeah.
Gotta do it. Sorry.
You know what? I think it all comes down ultimately, regardless of which way it happens in, how it's done. I personally, and this is a big discussion I have with baby's mum, I don't think it was done properly. Obviously, this is where the disagreement, because she said it's fine. I don't think it's fine the way it was done. So it's a lot of emotions, but then it all goes down to perspective and your views and how you are as a person, right? I would like to think I'd go the right way about it. Like, you could say my image or my little, the image that my daughter has of a dad, I would say got taken away from her person. That's the way I see it. Putting it harshly, but in real times, that's what it was. I think my daughter got confused for a time, having somebody else around at the age she's at and the way it was done. I would like to believe I would not do that. Up to today's day, regardless of my situation, I've made it clear who her mum is. I mean, I speak about her mum, and that's not going to change if I have somebody or not. I'm going to make it clear who her mum is. That's the woman that's raised you. That's the woman that had you in your womb. You know what I mean? Nobody can take that image away from you. That's your mum. And it seems odd that it's very easy to substitute that image of a dad, but not so much of a mum.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very weird that it works that way, but that's the way it works. Como dice el dicho, papá en cada esquina. There's actually sayings for it. You know what I mean?
That's the one thing I when we do speak, that's the one thing she shows me that I'm their dad and full stop, right? No one else is going to come in to fill that gap, because there is no gap. I'm still around. I still talk to them. I still pick them up, and they recognize me as their dad. I've got that level of trust in her.
If you're in a relationship, or say like it goes for both parts, so if your ex is in a relationship or you becoming in a relationship, at what point do you think it's okay to introduce your kid to that person?
When you're ready to settle down with that person.
But how would you know you're ready to settle down?
With life's experiences and what you've gone through, you as a person would know, or would have a good indication whether something is going to be serious or not, or whether you would like it to be serious or not. You're not going to go and show every little girlfriend you have there onwards, or every friend, should I say, because that's you know who's a little girlfriend, and when you're bored and it's a little fling. Yeah, without being disrespectful. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I've had many. Kevin's like, well, that's cool, man. I'll call you after this, yeah? But when you have that image and you've been with that person long enough to say, right, I'm going to take a chance, because that's all it is. It's a chance. You're right. Nothing's going to guarantee that your relationship is going to work.
Exactly.
But when you feel that it's right you will generally feel it. My daughter, she doesn't even know my friends, man.
It's not an easy one anyway.
As odd as it sounds, but that's just the way of being, I suppose. I mean, what I was telling you before, anyway, my time with my daughter is my time at the moment. That's the way I see it. So I'm not there to spend it with my friend and my daughter. That's literally, I'm still trying to bond with my daughter. I'm still at that stage. So I don't really have that happening. But if there is somebody serious enough, surely enough, I'll find a way of slowly introducing it. I've seen other friends do it, so if it's worked out or not, it's another thing. But I think it's a difference. I'm not going to be trying to tell my mom, I'm not going to tell my daughter that's a stepmom. That's me. I know people say that's what it is.
Okay, so
this is a touchy subject.
Yeah, what about if when, like, say like your partners, or your, I don't know why I keep saying your partners, what is wrong with me? I'm broken. What if your ex's partner starts living with your ex, and your daughter, obviously they're still very young to understand, what if they start, loving this other person as if it was a part of her life? It's a normal thing, you see this man every single day. You might pick it up.
But kids are also intelligent, and they also absorb what is being given to them.
No, but my question is, what if she asks, because I have a friend that this happened to, what if she asks, can I call him dad? And then my other one would be called daddy. Would you allow it?
Nah, my one calls the other guy dada. And you this was another ando. I flipped, period. And as I'm telling Kevin, the day, as from a dad's perspective, yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm right for it. I'm not saying I'm right. I don't have the answers.
Yeah.
Everybody's so different. People have so many views, and this is exactly where we do clash as
I think it's how your ex puts the kids to
right. So
how they get exposed to the kids, right?
Right.
And it's
Right.
all
So-
on your ex.
So you got to recall, you would have to understand the whole past of my one to be able to understand why I think the way I think. The point is, a bonding, when you have a kid that is newborn, the first few months and years is essential to bond.
Yeah.
Simple things like the energy that they feed off, the way you hug your child, the way you put them to sleep, everything is that energy bond that you create with them, right? When there's already another guy this guy around is saying, this is my daughter, these are my girls, believe me, you're gonna flip, right?
Yeah, I can't
when
imagine me not flipping.
when the mother allows it to happen and says, "Oh,
Right.
I can't control him from saying that," it's like, oh, that's your partner and that's your kid. More importantly, I don't care what he can say. It's what you can do. That's your kid, and you damn well know that's my kid.
Yeah.
And the way I see it, right, in my eyes, and I know there's people that are gonna go against 100%. But this is just my views, and with time, I think we all make errors, and we all mature different times, different stages, life experiences. But my view is, my daughter does not have a stepdad until the day I die or I'm in the prison. I'm not providing for my daughter. Until then, my daughter does not need no stepdad. Period. It could be my
What
baby's
about
mom's
when they get
partner.
married?
The title there shouldn't be there.
Tarika, stop.
No, I'm telling you, because it's all good, yeah. What it is, and I'm gonna put it straight to you, yeah. The way how women say you'll never feel the bond that we have because we've had a kid for 9 months, the same way most women say that, the same way I'm gonna say to you, you guys won't know what it is to live without your kids and know you can't do nothing about it as a man. To know that you don't know what happens at nighttime, to know you don't know who goes in the house, to know you don't know how the way they're being brought up, to know there's so many
Big
things.
sister.
I'm telling you, man, there's so
Yeah.
many things that you don't have a clue that when you live as a co-parent parent, and I trust in baby's mom, yeah, that she tells me the truth. But the reality is she could lie to me right now and say, yes, baby's sleeping, the baby's not even with her, is with her mum.
Yeah.
What sense of security does that give me as a dad? Co-parenting has its positives. There's many negatives as well, don't get me wrong. I try to look at the positives and I try to believe in my baby's mum as much as I can. But I could go on a mad rant about this because it's happened to me. This is my view. This is the way I think and the way it's happened to me.
Yeah.
But it's not right. Like I said, if I was any man not providing for my daughter, not caring about my daughter, you know what? If a bigger man steps up, that man deserves the title stepdad. You know what? Fund the stepdad, give him the dad title. Yeah, give him the dad title. Yeah, because he's taking care of another man's daughter or son.
If you're not present, and you're not there for your kid,
You're irrelevant. As a dad, you're irrelevant.
Yeah,
period.
exactly.
You're not a man in my eyes.
That other man earns the right for that child to call him dad. But if you're around and you're constantly
But my thing is not it's not that. Yeah, I understand the whole logic against your partner allowing it. If your 3-year-old has come up to you and said Dada is him, how are you going to say to her, no, you can't say that?
Punch
Grab
the
that
other guy.
chancla.
One, it shouldn't have got to that stage.
That's true.
Yeah, because they're being taught, they observe everything. They wouldn't know how to recognize Dada with a male figure. Something's gone in their mind to understand that's a male figure. Dada is the same as dad. It's very close.
Yeah.
The fact that you allow a kid and you allow to confuse your kid and tell them, that's your dad, this is Dada.
Yeah.
How are they going to separate both? Yeah, they're both male figures in my life. One is dad, the other one is Dada. That's almost like you giving me and him exactly the same level of importance. And she said, and I'm going to give you this is straight, no filters, man. She said to me, in today's society, it is normal for you to have 2 dads. Well, thank you. So she said to me, so you'd rather your daughter call him Amor, baby? And I said, in all honesty, 100%, because I call Amor the woman that's in the bloody cashier. You know what I mean? Yeah, I call her Amor.
Gracias, bebé.
And you know what I mean? It's the reality. You go after you, all right, babe. You know what I mean? Like that's nothing to me.
But he's got a name. What? Like
Yeah, he does, and that's what I'm trying to say. You know what? Call it mom's friend, call it what you want, but don't give him the dad title. He's not a dad. I can understand. You know what? And respect to him. There's many things that I think he's done wrong personally, but hey, that's just my view again. But anyway, point is respect for what it seems like. my daughter is very attached to him. And if he's treating her well, that's all I can hope for, right? Because like I said, there's some things that are out of my control, and it's not fair, I would say, but I have to trust. I don't have any other option. But I still think it's wrong for the mum to prioritize or not give that level of importance to the person that's helping you raise this child, to the same person that helped you bring this child with love. It's not like it happened now. We generally brought this child with love to the world, you know what I mean? And I've provided from the first day. I don't see why.
Hot, dirty sex.
I can't see why somebody would allow that. And she said, "Oh, I wouldn't care if somebody else, if she calls mum somebody else." I'm
guarantee
like,
I was trying to feel that. Yeah, I was trying to feel that.
And what I'm trying to say to you, I said, you won't ever understand it if I allowed it to happen. And the reality is, me, the way I was brought up, the way I go about myself, it's never happening. You know what I mean? I have stored up old pictures of her family still to make sure my little one damn well knows who her mum's family is. I'm not about throwing dirt to the other family and to her mum. I need her to know who her roots are. You know what I mean? That's your mum. Yeah, my mom's una princesa. Yeah, your mom's a princess. The way I'm right, she is. Give that love towards them. I needed to reciprocate as well and come back this way, because 100%. If I'm putting you at the level, I need to be put at that level as well. For my own daughters, it's not an ego thing. It's for my daughter. She needs to know I'm her one and only dad. Somebody can love her very much.
On both sides.
It's just respect. It's just respect. Somebody could love her very much, and I'm appreciative of the man that may take care of my daughter, but doesn't make you a dad.
You hear that? You hear that?
It's the reality. I'm still around. You know what I mean? Like I said, man. You know, the day I don't provide for my daughter, I'm in a prison, or God forbid if my life gets taken away and somebody takes upon that to provide and somewhat fill that void for her, then so be it. That was a very touchy topic for me. I'm sorry, Baba. Please, man. Please.
See, I've already forgot what the question was, to be honest.
Like, say your kids are much older, so they understand. So if your ex girlfriend got a partner and obviously she started living with him, what if like your kids started calling them, like say for Andor's instance, Dada? One,
I mean, most definitely would not agree to that. No way. And two, I think, and you know, I touch wood, but I do think that's not going to be the case, and that's because their mum has made it clear to me who their dad is, and you know, I do, and I've had that conversation with her many times because I keep asking, you know, and she's like, no, you're their dad, and that's full stop. Whoever comes along, it's going to be their friend. He's going to be there. They're going to see him. I can't stop that. But that is you. And you know, I get that, and you know, I'm comfortable with that, and I trust.
But say that it doesn't come from her. It comes from your kids.
I don't believe that. Sorry.
But they're much older, Andor. You need to understand. Like if you know, if they want to build that relationship, they can. They're kids. Like, you know, like Joel calls every single person. Like, if the bus driver goes past, Joel says, "Oh, that's my best friend." You
know, they get it, right? They're very intelligent kids. They understand and they get it, and they're not gonna. And I'm sure they're not gonna go call dad someone that's not their dad. If I'm present, if I'm there, if I've been there before them, you know. As an example, I know, for instance, somebody that pretty much raised a kid, and that kid calls him dad, but that's simply because the real dad is never around for him. Right, and he doesn't get to see him. He doesn't see him. Doesn't pick him up. He don't see him at all. So of course he calls him dad because he's been raised with him.
He's earned it.
Props to him, man.
And with his values, right? And he's earned that right.
It is a very touchy subject, man.
I was gonna ask, what if your ex-partner had a child and now your blood child, says to you, "Dad, can I bring my sister or my brother?"
Well, I think
you're now in the situation of that your ex's partner of being around your child.
That's mental. Just the question itself. I mean, just half of what you were saying, like before you got to the end, that in itself, if that had been a question, that's hard enough. It is hard. In my eyes, it is hard to. And I know it possibly will happen, and it could be anytime soon. I don't know, but it is very difficult to know that your ex-partner who's got a child that has another kid. That in itself,
your inside hurt a bit.
It hurts. I'm not gonna lie to you. To me, it hurts.
No.
I'm not.
Do you know, I'm not a parent in your situation. But my dad told me he was gonna have another baby outside of my mom. I was ready to I don't even. I can't describe it.
She called me and we were gonna go jump the lady.
See what it is, yeah.
Didn't even phrase that. That's
That's when you have to think fully and think it could be the opposite way as well. What if I were to have a kid?
Yeah.
Right. Now, one thing I wouldn't do is I would tell that new kid, love your sister, but there's no reason why my ex-partner should have to raise a child that already has a mum. Again, that's her title, that's her position, that's, play your role. That's her mum. And I'm her dad. You can love your sister 100%.
But you can be in a blended family. Like, we know someone that, the parents and everyone kind of babysits every single person, and that's totally fine.
I think once you come to grips, yeah, exactly.
I understand it takes long, but
what situation? Yeah,
situation.
I think once you've managed to grasp everything, and then you feel like, cool, yeah, you understand the situation. The reality is that kid is at no fault whatsoever for anything at all. So there's no reason why you should have a particular way of looking at that person. I suppose, though, if you're not the one that's got that kid, you feel like, well, that's really not my kid at all in any shape, way, or form. So it's just such a difficult thing to come to grips with. I don't know how I would feel. It's a very good question.
I feel like you will feel some sort of way for the child, and it will be a good way because you will also learn to see them grow and learn to see that relationship they have with your daughter. I say it because when my dad brought home my new sister, it was outrageous. Like, both me and my mom felt some type of way. I didn't feel like, oh my God, I hate it. No, I just felt weird. And now my mom is, when it's her birthday, when it's Christmas, she literally thinks Laura, Jessica, and my little sister. She doesn't see her as like, the other daughter, or like, she considers her in every occasion, and she doesn't have a relationship with my dad's partner.
I guess it's just become
the worst situation you can think of.
I'm still shocked with that question, Sarah.
But what I'm saying is, I think you will, because you will always have a relationship with your daughter, you will learn to have a relationship with, and it will tocar el corazón,
A child is a child, and you're never gonna look at a child in the wrong way, if you know what I mean. Like, it's like I said, it's not their fault, isn't it? I just feel like, when you know there's another level to unlock, but you just haven't got there yet. That's the way I'm seeing it. Like, wow, you just asked a question that I've not ever thought about. Like,
that's how I feel about Crash Bandicoot.
I thought about I thought about having another kid, but I haven't thought like, snap, I have to look after that kid too. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I haven't thought about that, man. It's a bit crazy, man. I don't think I'm ready for that, to be honest with you.
Tonight, Ando in bed, laying there like, really?
They've unleashed another level.
That's genuinely that's a hard hitting question. Like, I'm not ready for that. Like,
what about you, Kevin?
I think that would just come naturally. I mean, I don't know my reaction, but I'm not a hating person, so.
Are you sure, bro?
I miss that.
Mama's code.
We're wrapping this up, guys.
Yeah, I feel like this is a very deep conversation, and most of the times I felt like I was able to contribute more. But when you're just a bit like, I wouldn't know what to do in these situations, or I can't even relate. Like, genuinely, I feel a bit lost for words with some things. Like,
I think when you've lost for words, that's a good sign. The fact that you're still thinking and trying to comprehend stuff. But there's some people that just cut stuff off. Like, no, that's wrong. No, there's no facts
like
that you're saying.
Trying to see both sides.
Pretty much.
But I think the story that's always told is the way I see it personally is the mum's story, right? And it's almost glorifying it, and that's why I had to put, like, not all mums are great, just the same way not all dads are bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when I've come across amazing dads, and I'm thankful because I've learned from them. My kid's probably one of the youngest ones out of all of them. And they've all told me, they've gone exactly what I've gone through. So I know many of the emotions I've gone through, and I'm not alone. It's nice for them to have a, thanks to you guys as a platform where some good dads can put a nice word out there, and show another side.
Well, on this positive note, we always love to end our episodes with a golden tip. So, guys, take it away. What would you say to dads out there who might be in this position like yourselves, or even considering maybe parting ways with their current partner?
No, and to mums, because
to mums as well. Yes, exactly.
It's really opened our eyes.
Well, yeah, I'm here
there's
words.
certain things that we didn't know, and I know for the most part we kind of knew. We're very controlling, so maybe it kind of eases off. Relax. We
the
need
dad's
a break
got
as well.
it too.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's comprehension, man, because we all live in the rush to be loved the most by our kids. Like it or not, subconsciously, we want our kids to, it hurt me to bits when my daughter cried. She was at my house, she hurt herself, and she cried for her mom. It killed me. It's like, I'm the one that's right here. I'm the one that's going to look after you. Like, why are you not asking for me? It's like, your mom's not here. But with time, you comprehend, it's like, she doesn't know.
It must join She would cry more.
She doesn't understand any better, you know what I mean? She lives with her mom day in, day out. But that's what I think, that there needs to be comprehension, even for a relationship that is not going in the right way. Just put your kids first. And for parents, for dads that, like myself, that at times I thought I wasn't doing enough. I thought I wasn't a good enough dad. I think you always undervalue yourself and you undersell yourself as a parent, because upon expectations, you know what I mean? And I don't think that's the way forward, man. You need to look deeper than that and realize that what you are doing is you are generally helping raise a child in this society. You know what I mean? You're doing an amazing job. You're doing something that is not for the faint-hearted. It's that simple. So comprehension amongst all, man, with your partner, for the respect of your child.
Amen.
For me, it's communication. Communication is key. Make sure you talk things through. If you don't agree with things, dad needs to go into a discussion and talk about it. Sometimes conversations can get heated, but you just need to sit down, think about it, and then more importantly, it's about the kids' well-being and the kids' sake, to make sure that they come up good and not with the fact that, okay, dad's not around because my mum doesn't let him, or XYZ reason. So communication is key, and I think that's what's helped me a lot. Because there were times where I would just block myself and say, well, no, that shouldn't be like that. But then I would come back home and just think through, and then kind of okay, shit, I fucked up here. So I would then go back to the conversation and say, well, yes, I was wrong about this and that. And then we come to an agreement. So yeah, communication's key.
Sorry, guys. I promise you, that's a normal code. That's a normal code. By the way, kids will always come out to find the truth, by the way, regardless of the situation.
Exactly.
You could look away the dad for so many years and deny that's your dad, and the day they find out, blood is blood, 20 years down the line, even if it's just to meet him, they're going to do it regardless. So I don't see the point in denying them and being toxic about it. Sooner or later, they have their own way of thinking. So,
but they're taking away the opportunity of their own children to bond with their dads, which is completely selfish.
100%.
Taking that opportunity away from the child for what? For yourself?
Time that won't come back.
Because they can't get the dick again.
From golden tip to golden dick. That's what it's like at Mama's Code.
It had to be said somewhere along the line, innit? Mama's Code, thanks a lot for having us on.
Thank you so much for...
You both did very good.
For showing us the dad perspective. And as you said, there's not much kind of chance given to you dads to express how you're feeling and to show what it is like on the other side of the table. Mama's Code out.
I certainly had fun. I love
Kevin, this is my outro.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.
Mama's Code.
Leave then.
I was testing you.
Yes, we got rid of Kevin.
What it is, I don't know how to leave. Can you please exit me?
After